This video clip is how multiplication and division can be used with the number line at the 5th grade level. Alright, so I'm going to just start by saying that the number line is usually not going to be the most efficient way of solving a 5th grade multiplication or division problem. However, it is a good way of showing it in some instances, and it definitely reinforces the fact that multiplication is repeated addition, essentially, and that division is essentially repeated subtraction. So let's check out one multiplication problem and a division problem on the number line. Okay, we're going to use an open number line, which means that it doesn't have all the little tick marks for every step along the way, but it's open and we should be fairly accurate in partitioning it off with the right amount of space between the numbers. So let's say that we have the basic math problem of 9 times 8. 8s can be tricky for students, so let's try 9 times 8. Well, let's say a student knows 9 times 4 to start with. That student could then go, well, 9 times 4 if I added from 0 a group of 9 times 4, then I would land at 36. And then I would need another group of 9 times 4 to get me a total of 9 times 8. So I could take another jump about the same size, and I would be adding another 36, so plus another 9 times 4, which would get me to land on 72. And that would be the final answer. So that's taking a concept they might have learned in younger grades and applying it to a number line. Let's see what it looks like with division now. Oh, and before continuing on to division, we can see a very, very inefficient way of doing this would look like this. You can think of 9 times 8 as 9 groups of 8 or 8 groups of 9. Let's show 9 groups of 8 here, or basically 8 9 times. Like I said at the beginning, not super efficient, but it definitely reinforces that repeated addition. And if a student knew a certain fact, like 8 times 5 gets me to 40, then they might be able to use that and then build off of it and continue on the number line. Okay, now let's look at division. So let's say that we are building a new middle school in our district, which we're not, but let's say that we were building a new middle school called Andrews Middle School. And after it was built, it would hold 609 students, and each classroom must have 29 students in each class. So how many classrooms does the school need? Okay, so this is a division problem. We've got the problem 609 students together, all together total, divided up into classrooms that each have 29 students. So on a number line, we could do this. If I know that my starting point is 609, and I'm going to need to end up with fewer classrooms than the 609 students, that means that I'm going to be traveling to the left on the number line because left is less. So 609 students in all. Well, let's just start grouping them and seeing how many classrooms we can make. So let's take away a group that's very natural to work with in friendly numbers. So if I thought, well, it's got to have at least 10 classrooms, how many kids would that get me to? 29 times 10 that I'd be taking away would be taking away 290, which would get me to land on 319. Okay, I've accounted for 319 of my students so far. I've got to account for all of them, though, with 0 students left without a classroom. So looks like I have enough to do that same thing all over again. I could take away another group of 29 times 10, which would be another 290. And I would land on 29. Hey, that's a friendly number for what I'm working with. That means I have 29 kids left without a classroom. Well, that means I can fit one more classroom of kids minus one more group of 29. Okay, great, and that means I have 0 students left that need a classroom. Okay, so where's the answer? If the original problem was how many classrooms do we have? Well, we had 10 classrooms here, another 10 classrooms here, and another 1 classroom here. So add that up together, and we have 21 classrooms. Pretty cool. Here's another way of thinking about the same problem. We could think of 609 divided by 29 also as 29 times what will get me all 609 students. 29 times how many classrooms will account for all 609 students. So in that case, we're building up to the target. I'm starting with 0 kids placed in the classroom, building up toward the 609. If I break apart the numbers the same way that I did the last time, we would see this. So in this case, jumping up, building on classrooms until we get to 609. And the answer can be found in the same place as before. 10 classrooms here, another 10 classrooms here, another 1 classroom at the very, very end for a total of 21 classrooms. So in this case, we showed that 29 times 21 equals 609. And that's a little bit about how the number line can be useful for 5th grade multiplication and division.